Hey everyone, welcome to All Techies. I'm Pankaj Rai, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can use Image Filter View with Glide. The image which I'm going to load is uploaded on cloud storage. It's one of the services offered by Firebase where you could upload any sort of multimedia, and in turn it gives you the URL to download those. And the objective of this video is not to show how to use Glide, but rather to show how you can use it effectively using the Kotlin features, and also how you could set the warmth, saturations programmatically for the image filter view. So let's get started. Let me add an image filter view, and let me make width and height as match and match parent, and set the ID as image filter view scene. And as I'm not using view binding, so I have to create the objects manually. So let me do one thing. Let me create an object private, late in it, image filter view scene. So one thing which you might have noticed is I'm using late init here rather than saying something like private var then object question mark equals to null. And that's all because this is not an optimum way for declaring the view object. The optimum way is to say it with late init. Late init means is like at the time of declaration you're not giving the value, but later on you will initialize it. One thing which you need to focus is like before using this anywhere, you have to initialize it. And in your project, if there is certain scenarios where you are not so sure whether this value is initialized or not, and that's why you are using with question mark equals to null, then actually there's no need for that, because we have an option to check whether it is initialized or not. And this is going to give you true if this value is already initialized, or false if it's not initialized. Okay, now let me do one thing. Let me initialize this. I have scene equals to find you by id r.id.scene. So now I have the object for the image filter view. Now let's see how I can load the image. So for that I'm going to create a function, and let me create an extension function over image view. So I'm using this image filter view dot load from, and here I'm going to take the URL. Inside this, let me use glide dot with this at main activity. Well, this is really important to give this at main activity. By this way you are saying that this is the context for this main activity, not for this image view. Dot load URL into this, and here this means this image filter view. So it's a feature offered by Kotlin. It's an extension function where on whichever you are extending it, you get the context in that function. So here the context of this is nothing but a context for image filter view. And this is so normal method, is as usual. So can we make it a bit better? So we have a keyword called as infix. And the moment you use this, then rather than calling it like a traditional function, say I scene dot load from, say any sort of URL you have, rather than calling in this way, what you could do is like could call by giving space, again space, and then the URL. Okay, so now let me get the URL for the image which I have uploaded on Firebase Cloud Storage. So let me create a companion object, const val URL, and Let me pass this URL here. So just by this, we'll load the image using the glide library to our image filter view. And because of this infix notation, we are not calling through dot operator. We are just calling object space the method name space parameter. One thing to remember here with infix is like this only works when you have single parameter. If I have more than one, then it's not going to work. And the moment this loads, let me also, so here it is. And now let me also try to set the saturation, or let me try to make it a grayscale. So for that, let me do one thing. Let me create a floating action button. Wrap and wrap source. Let me take it from Android drawable IV menu add just for now, and then bottom to the bottom of parent and end to the end of parent. Let me give this ID as fab, and let me call this find you by ID floating action button r.id.fab set on click listener. So here what I want to do is like on a button click I want to change this to the grayscale image, and when I tab it once again I want to convert it back to the colorful image. So let me do one thing. Let me create an object private where is grayscale, and initially this is false. So what I'm going to do here is scene dot saturation if m is grayscale and else. So it's again one of the Kotlin feature where if and else is an expression. It's not just a conditional branch. And the difference between these two is like with conditional branch you cannot return the value, but with expression you return the value. And if else along with conditional branch it's an expression in Kotlin. So what I'm going to do is like if it's a grayscale then I'll make it false and also return value 1, and m is grayscale as true, then return value is 0. And one thing which you might have noticed is like I'm not writing return 1. That's all because in the expression whatever is the last statement that gets returned back. So inside this if block, whatever I write as a last statement that will return back to this saturation, and here it's 1 and 0. About this, any sort of operation which you want to do, you can do it here. Now let's run and check this out. And let me also give this information about what happens with different values. So when it comes for the saturation, so these are the values. 0 is for grayscale, 1 is for original, and 2 is for hypersaturated. Okay, now let me click on the fab and you'll see the image is getting converted to grayscale. Again clicking back, colorful. Okay, now let me give the values for brightness also. So when it comes for brightness, the values for this are 0 for black, 1 for original, and 2 for twice as bright. For warmth, it's 1 for natural, 2 for warm, and 0.5 for cold. When it comes for contrast, then that is 1 for unchanged, 0 for gray, and 2 for high contrast. And finally, the crossfade. So crossfade 0 is for source and 1 is for the alternate source image. So now you have seen how to convert colorful to grayscale, grayscale back to the colorful image. So same way you can play along with the brightness values also. So let me do one thing. Let me change the brightness value here, and let me make it to go completely black, 0, and then make it twice as bright. So this 1, 2, or 0, these are the direct values. So you can also give the in-between values. In-between values ranging from 0 to 1, like 0.5, 0.8, and you'll see the values changing appropriately. So here, let me click on a button, and you'll see a very high contrast, and 0 is for black. If I do not want black, then I could give value say 0.8, and you'll see a different brightness level apart from the black color. So 1 is like it's moving from black to the normal color, and here it is, extra bright, then low brightness. So same way you can play along with all sort of values here, apart from crossfade for this kind of views, because ImageFilterView doesn't allow you to set the alternate source programmatically, and because of that you cannot set the alternate source and then source directly programmatically. But if you have set it through the XML, then you can certainly change the crossfade value to 0 and 1, and you'll see the image toggling on the screen. So that's it in this video. If you have liked this video, then do not forget to hit the like button and subscribe this channel so that you'll not miss the notification for the upcoming videos. Thank you and stay tuned.